Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Your Health is Your Choice, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my fourth-time guest is Deb Morgan. We're going to be talking again about fibromyalgia. This time in her new book, it's about breaking the silence, confronting the guilt and shame in the chronic pain world. Because fibromyalgia is one of those diseases that people just don't understand. And of course, we have done the shows 4 times, and we talked about our other books and living with it and graceful agony, and we've got this breaking the silence, and she's been living with it for a while, as I have, and it ain't fun. And I think one of the things that is kind of the hardest thing to deal with is other people looking at you and saying, well, you look all right. So it seems to me that if you haven't got either cancer and you've gone bald or the limb isn't dropped off, that you can't be suffering. And people don't realize that living with fibromyalgia is a daily challenge. And so today we're going to be talking about that, but also breaking that silence, about breaking that silence of how it's not something you can recover from, because unfortunately it's one of those things that you just learn to manage. It's not a curable one. And it's also talking about her memoir, Graceful Agony, an intimate memoir of living with fibro and chronic fatigue. And according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, as of 2021, approximately 20.9% of US adults, that's 51.6 million people, experience chronic pain, and 6.9, 17.1 people experience high impact chronic pain. Along with the diagnosis of chronic pain, which is beyond one's control, it can induce feelings of shame and guilt that most times come from stigma. So Breaking the Silence is an exceptional and easy to read guidebook that offers various tools and techniques to help those diagnosed with chronic pain and any chronic illness that involves pain as a symptom. Reading the book can help one navigate through the chronic pain and overcome feelings of shame and guilt. It can also facilitate open communication between chronic pain sufferers and their families. And this is something that is, again, I find very hard to talk about with my family. It's they still don't quite get it because, of course, you're able one moment and you're not the next, and that's one of the problems. So welcome back, Deb.
Thank you. Thank you. I started to, after I got done with Graceful Agony, I thought, well, this is my memoir, but I'm really being remiss in forgetting about the other group of people. There's some people that want to read someone's memoir, but on this particular book, almost 80% of the people reading it are men. So it's interesting because they don't get it, and they're trying to understand, I think, and help, their loved one.
It is predominantly a woman's disease, although men do get it. My brother had it in a minor way, but then it's like kind of diminished a lot, maybe because he's got other things that are wrong with him that he doesn't notice it so much anymore. But I know that it came from our mother, but it also comes from trauma trigger. Or if you've had an accident, it's like arthritis will come from any bone that's been broken or other type of thing. So getting chronic pain as you age is pretty inevitable along the way. But fibromyalgia is kind of an emotional disease. It's a hypersensitive disease. So I'll go to the dentist and I'll talk about screaming teeth, and they won't know what I'm talking about. And I say, well, every nerve ending is screaming at the same time. And this is how hypersensitive you are. If people touch you too hard, it can feel like slicing you open. And The other thing they don't understand is like I draw the analogy with the phone, an old phone where the battery doesn't charge up very well anymore and it depletes very, very quickly. And that is our battery. We never fully
Mhm.
charge and we deplete quickly. Yet people look at us and think, you're all right. It's okay, just push through it. And they don't know the price we pay when we push through it, right?
Right. Yes. I mean, the next day or two, or even it may wait. You may have energy for 3 or 4 days and you're able to go, but you keep pushing yourself. And that I covered all of chronic pain in the same way because I have osteoporosis, I have arthritis, I
Mhm.
have trauma, PTSD.
Hmm.
I mean, all these things that contribute. And even though my, my main problem was fibromyalgia, now it sort of is equal
Mm.
with osteoporosis because you lose bone even if you're taking bone builders. i
Mm.
i keep losing bone, and it's very frustrating when you're trying to do this dance
Yes.
back and forth, as well as trying to keep people informed without sounding like you're complaining.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
extremely hard.
It's a fine line. Yes. What
Yeah,
you
it
want people
is.
to do is understand. And it's like, look, you say, I know my limits. Oh, you just push through your limits. I push through my limits. And you've got to understand your limits and my limits are gauged in a different way. If I
That's right.
push too far, as I say, I'm in partnership with my disease. Right. I've had it 27 going on 28 years. And I know how far I can push before I'm going to pay the price. And every now and again, it says to me, you're going
Mhm.
too far, you're going too far. And if I don't pay attention and slow down or rest or do what I need to do, it will flatten me, absolutely
Oh,
flatten me.
yes.
And every time, I was this last weekend, it was my son-in-law's 40th birthday, and they did a big birthday party. So I took the babies overnight. Right, and I got 5 hours sleep that night because there's middle of the night feeding and there's all sorts of other things going on. And then we had a birthday party for my beautiful grandson the next day. And when I got home, boom, down, flattened, right? And
Yep.
I know I'm going to pay that price. So if you are going to exert yourself for a couple of days, then you know you've got to allow yourself a couple of days of recovery. And this is what people don't understand. But you can do
No.
that, yes, but I'm going to pay a price for it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we had a brand new grandbaby, um, almost 2 years old. And I used to watch three.
Hmm.
And if I needed, I could watch four if I happened to be down here from Oregon when we lived there. And it's very odd because I can't pick her up. I mean, I literally physically am 60 now,
Hmm.
61, and I cannot pick her up or carry her around and stuff because it's too hard on
Mm.
my body.
Yeah,
And I'm afraid that if I do, I might drop her.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Stress.
yeah. I understand that. I'm facing that right now. I can't get down on the ground with the grandchildren because I can't get back up. The legs are constantly pins and needles. I think we may have frozen here for a moment, so I'm just going to pause.
Okay.
So we did have a
It
bit of
says
a
I'm
freeze.
recording.
Okay, good. So we did have a bit of a freeze there. Unfortunately,
I'm
this
back.
happens. As I was saying, is that I can't get down on the ground with my children because I can't get back up because my legs are just like constant pins and needles. And I am moving in a month to move closer to my daughter to help with her babies. And I'm going to be having them 1 or 2 days a week and every now and again. And I will know I will have to pace myself. But the beauty of it then now is that I'm not driving. I used to drive an hour and 40 and then look after them and then be driving back. So now I'm going to be closer around the corner so I can pace myself better and make
Right.
sure the days that I'm looking after the children, that the next day I allow myself that time of rest. And it's all about balance. But
Right.
they know I can't get down on the ground. The kids know too.
I
And I
can't
can't.
either. I can't
No,
get
I
up.
can't. Getting back up is so painful. The legs are so painful, and
Mhm.
they understand because they, if I get down on the ground, they've got to pull me back up, and they know it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, give me something to hold on to here.
and
Yeah.
that my son's my the son-in-law's mother, they can get down on the ground and bounce back up, but they don't have these kind of conditions. So, and
No.
that's the thing is, it's very bad for one to compare with what other people can do. Well, I
Hmm.
can do that. Well, jolly D. I
Hmm.
can't, and I'm not going to apologize for the fact that I can't. And if you
No,
can't
and I'm
accept that,
not going to
that's on you,
try
not
it.
on me, right? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know, it's
No,
it's not giving in to the disease. It's when you're living with it, you are managing it, and you know where you can push yourself and where you can't.
right. And for instance, my husband does the best he can. Do you know what I mean? To understand,
Hmm.
which I'm lucky in that respect. But I mean, people lose their friends
Hmm.
because they can't go out with them enough. And I think what happens is the we can't communicate properly with our loved ones or our friends or our job or just society in general. That's what this book tries to do.
Hmm.
Is it's kind of a self-help book, in that I recognize that shame and guilt are something that nobody likes to talk about.
Right.
you know Nobody wants to say, well, I have shame around this. For some reason, that word,
Hmm.
even to me, after childhood of trauma,
Hmm.
seems to be a word that I have difficulty with.
Hmm.
And so this book lays out, not only how to deal with that, but also, and it brings it up quite frequently in the first part of the
Hmm.
book. I mean, you would almost think that I'm repeating, and I'm not. What I'm doing is putting that in, every aspect, how that constantly is there,
Hmm.
just like pain
Yes.
may be constantly there. And this includes, anybody with arthritis,
Yeah.
anybody with MS.
Yes.
MS is a terrible disease.
Hmm.
Um, Fibro,
Parkinson's.
chronic
Yeah.
fatigue.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of times people don't understand that a disease that you don't understand, like fibro or chronic fatigue, which I have both, um, that you can get other things.
Yes.
And so it starts to pile on top of each other.
Mm.
Um, as an example, I did not start, I had chronic fatigue since 1994,
Hmm.
but the pain of the fibromyalgia
Yeah.
didn't show up until I was 43. So you go all that time and you think, okay, I'm tired. I know I'm tired. I need to go take a nap, whatever, if you can.
Hmm.
Or you're working and you get home and you're exhausted.
Hmm.
But you can go further. Say on chronic fatigue, I could go do more than I can with fibro.
Hmm.
And I think people have a difficulty understanding that, you've got the one, and then it went to the bladder.
Hmm.
That's where I first got the fibromyalgia. People don't think about their bladder.
No.
It can show up anywhere that it wants.
Hmm.
And there's really the Elmeron is what I was on when I first got the bladder. And it now is causing blindness
Wow.
in people. And I'm like, super. I was
Hmm.
on that for, 10 years.
Wow.
And so now it's not good. And there's just not a lot you can do. All you can do is the same thing that you do with the regular, everyday battle that you go through. And, if you start feeling like I have a bladder infection, then it's probably not. And then you have to watch, so then you have pain there. Myofascial pain syndrome,
Yes, I
like
have
you
that.
said,
Yes.
with your teeth. Okay.
Hmm.
I have the same thing. And trying to explain that to a dentist is almost impossible.
Actually, I'm
And
lucky that way. They've accepted that. They're not looking at me sideways.
right. And even if they try and say, oh, I understand, you have fibromyalgia, and unless they say my cousin has it,
Mm,
or my
yes.
grandma has it, or my mom has it, they really haven't been around it.
Yeah.
So, they're conditioned to say, I understand that, like
Yeah.
with CBDs, whether they have THC in them or whether they
Yeah.
don't. Um, and they really don't help all the time.
No,
They help like
I find
one
the help
thing.
with restless leg, but yeah. I mean, that's the trouble is back in the day that I was working with one of the leading doctors here in BC on fibromyalgia, where other doctors would come to him to actually understand what it was. At that time, they were saying there were 31 points to fibromyalgia. They're now saying there's
Mm-hmm.
more. At that time, I was diagnosed with 29 points of that. So when you
Mm-hmm.
say to people, mine started off with IBS. That's I had that for a couple of years before they even diagnosed me with
I have that
fibromyalgia.
now.
Right. And of course, I had degenerative spine, and I had the arthritis, and I had numerous other things, and nobody could work out what the hell was going on. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I finally got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, it was still something they didn't know. Going to this specialist, he at least gave me an understanding that I'm not going mad, right? And I'm not milking the disease. What it is
Right.
I have these points, and that it's been upgraded to a disease now where it used to be a condition, and
Right.
that they have not found any cure for it. Although there are things that help you manage it, navigate it, it is
Mm-hmm.
still something they're very much in the dark with. And it's really hard to explain to people, well, yes, I have that. Yes, and I have that, and I have that. But how can you have all those things? That is
Yeah.
the umbrella of fibromyalgia. It
Yeah.
triggers all these other things as well. It's like a
Right.
smorgasbord and it's got greedy.
I know, right? There's never enough for it. And I got literally I had to go through and get accepted to what is our here banner. It's a big, hospital, and they have the university and the whole thing. So the only way I could get into the rheumatology was if I had another banner doctor, which I actually did for my bladder.
Mhm.
So she had all the records saying she's got, fibromyalgia of the bladder. She's got, which is called interstitial cystitis, if you can believe. It's
Right.
like I can't even do that. We
Yeah.
do IC around here. Um, and so they finally got me in there. It took months to get in there. I just got in there like 3 months ago. But now we're at the point where I've done all the injections, which is what they say, well, this will help with pain.
Mm-mm.
I can't have any more steroids. I mean, I can't even use, I'm not supposed to use eye drops even. I had a problem with my eyes a while back, and they have steroids in them. I mean,
Right.
I'm to that point now where they want to put me on the strong medication like Enbrel, or something like that. Well, what that does, which is really good for somebody with all the things I have outside of just
Mhm.
the fibromyalgia, is they're very, it shuts down and puts a wall between your immune system
Mm.
and, yeah, I know,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and the actual disease. So it helps that. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out if I even want to
Well,
go
I mean,
there.
I haven't had a doctor for 5 years. We have several million people here in Canada without doctor, and BC over a million, and I'm one of them. I can't get to a practitioner. I can't get to a doctor's list. If I need more
Yeah.
medication, I have to phone a doctor, set up appointment. You're allowed 3 minutes and one question. So all I do is just get my medication that I know I'm on. But I actually do not take the medication for fibromyalgia. I decided to go the holistic way. And I
Mhm.
do an awful lot of anti-inflammatory, like turmeric,
Yeah,
other
I do that.
anti-inflammatories. trying to keep acidic level down, taking things for arthritis, the glucosamine, the MSN, and the magnesium, and always take
Mhm.
magnesium with D because that boosts it. Take it at night,
Yeah, I always
and
do.
right. So you learn all these things, and I rather take those nutritionals into me, and then again listen to my body because I know that one of the drugs they had when they first came out with it would destroy the sockets of your teeth, dry them out, and teeth
Oh, that
were
was
rotting.
Cymbalta. Yeah,
Right,
I was
yes,
on
and
that.
I refused to take it. And my doctor really went a little Nazi on me because I
Hmm.
refused to take it. And they said, there's
Well,
no
and
evidence. And I said, the top dentist at the university has already pointed this out. Why do you think I want to risk my teeth? And so
right.
I've always, maybe not having a doctor is actually good because I'm forced to use
Hmm.
other modalities, even energy healing, Reiki, and all of those type of things, and look for different
And
things.
I've done it. Yep.
Yeah.
I
But
need to
it's,
find, I actually need to find a doctor who, I mean, not a doctor, but like one of those holistic, you
yes,
know,
yes.
doctors. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the end of it is hypersensitivity, it's inflammation, there's so many of these other things which then triggers everything else. And one of the
Mhm.
things is keeping calm. And that's, because depression very much and anxiety comes with
And I
fibromyalgia
already
as
have
well,
that too.
right?
Yeah.
And the thing is with that is what I've learned to do with it is I know when the rabbit hole is opening up, and I do have medication for that if I can't cope with it. Most of the time, I put on the music, I go and do something proactive, and I can manage it. Beginning of the year, I got the RSV virus from my darling grandson. He always loves to give me everything he picks up in
Oh,
daycare.
yeah.
And then I had this book, a Forgotten Children book that was coming out. I had to finalize that. I had a whole load of shows. I had too much on my plate
Hmm.
and I didn't have time to get better. And that RSV virus was horrible. I've had COVID, got over that much quicker. The
No, I got that
RSV,
too. Yeah.
yeah, the RSV virus, horrible. It just clung on for about 2 or 3 months. And and the thing is again, looking after your well-beingness. And I call it balls in the air. And it's like, I can't deal with you, ball. You've got to stay up there right now.
Hmm.
I'm just going, and that's one of the things with any chronic illness. You know when you can push a little, and yes, I've got time to recover. And there's other times, no, I just have to say no. Not right now.
Hmm.
No. And that's where that shame and blame thing is. Don't ever feel ashamed for saying no. My body or my psyche, my well-being right now can't take that. I apologize, but no. And if they don't accept that, it's time to relook at people, right? Because it is you're the one living with your body 24/7.
Right. Right. And what I remember when I started getting reviews back uh, on, graceful agony, and people would say, you know, they would give me a 4 or 5, but they thought the book was extremely sad.
Hmm.
Well, it wasn't written that way, but I think it was because of the story,
Hmm.
because of what you go through.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the point is to point out that you can have a million different things that go, you know, with fibro. Or, for instance, I had bipolar disorder. I
Mm.
have that. So I have to take medication for that. PTSD, I have to take medication for that. Those are the ones that scare me
Hmm.
if I didn't take them.
Right. Yeah.
Because that could, I don't know what it would be like. I've had it since 1994. I started on lithium. I don't know if I were to not take that medication, I really don't know how bad it would be now,
Hmm.
you know. And I've dealt with the drug addiction and the whole thing, you know.
Hmm.
And so I thought a lot of this might be because of that.
Hmm.
But then it actually goes back to doctors don't like to tell you anything.
Right.
So my doctor didn't say anything about Cymbalta hurting my teeth.
Right.
it hurt. I think I took it for 3 years.
Mm,
And then I found that out from my previous daughter-in-law. She worked in a hospital. And so I quit taking it. I swear to God, I've had 3 teeth pulled, a bridge fell out of my mouth.
hmm
I've lost a cap. I mean, I'm telling you, my mouth now I have to have either, you know, false teeth or get, implants,
Yeah,
which means I take a trip to Mexico because you can't afford it here.
right. Yeah, yes, yeah.
But
You also,
yeah, but we have doctors. We have so many doctors here where we did not, we were in your position
hmm
in Oregon, even though there was insurance and everything, nobody wanted to do uh, Medicare.
mm,
And that's the insurance I get because, you know, I'm on disability. And so they don't want to do it. And nobody checked me, even after I told them I need a bone scan every 2 years, you need to do one, and nobody did it. And so I went to, I had a naturopath and I had an acupuncturist,
yeah,
and,
they're
you
great. Have you?
know,
Mm.
right, they are.
All the
She was
things that actually
amazing.
work, massage therapy,
Hmm.
acupuncture, they don't cover. Right. And,
No,
and on a pension,
no, they
especially I
don't
can't
cover it.
afford that, but those are the things that
Yeah,
help, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
no, they help.
Mm.
And I remember when I did acupuncture all the time, uh, I remember that my body would start screaming at me if it was time
Yes.
to go to the acupuncture.
Yes.
So if I set my appointment too far out,
Mm.
you know, it would say, nope, you need to move your thing,
Well, part of the
your
thing about
appointment.
fibro and all of the conditions we have is what we call block chi, blocked energy. And the thing
Hmm.
about acupuncture, it releases the energy in your body so that your body is in fluidity, the blood flow,
Hmm.
the energy flow, the oxygen flow. And it's really essential. And when I was having a particular massage therapy, because again, you can't take the kneading massage, fingers, it's flat hand massage, or it's certain
Hmm.
points that they press to release, but you can't take it at the kneading because it feels like they're tearing you apart. But with the
Hmm.
acupuncture, I found between the acupuncture and the massage therapy, I was so physically more productive. And I would go every 2 weeks for maintenance to make sure that I didn't collapse. And then they stopped covering it, and I didn't have the finances to keep up with it. And so
No,
the things that worked, they don't do. They rather
no,
give
they don't
drugs to,
cover
I
any of
mean, look,
mine.
I've done enough shows on medical now from doctors, surgeons, and everything else where they are pushed to push the drugs.
Yeah,
Pharmaceutical and accountants are in charge of medical nowadays. And one physician I interviewed lost his medical practice because he was prescribing nutrition instead of drugs, right? He was
yeah,
not
oh
following.
yeah,
So,
it's
that's one of the problems. And so, they'll push the drugs because that's what they do, but actually, things that actually do help you. And if you do have the money, folks, please go and find a good acupuncturist. As somebody that knows about myofascia and fibromyalgia, knows how to massage it, those
hmm
type of things are so good because they stop your body from tightening up, right? Because
yeah.
that's one of the thing with fibromyalgia. There's times you feel like stiff cardboard, even wood, and you can't walk, and everything just feels, oh God, I'm the Tin Man. Where's the
It's
oil?
like you're in cement.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you're walking in cement. I remember after I did acupuncture for 8 years, but
Mm.
my insurance never covered any of it. So I had to,
No, not the acupuncture.
plan.
The massage they did for one a
Yeah,
year. I mean, one a month,
yeah.
right?
And to try and get them to send you to a physical therapist for massage, they call that a special thing. You
Yes.
go to the, right, you go to the physical therapist, and they don't work on what they're supposed to. The
Yeah.
doctor sends in something else. So
Yeah.
currently, just to give you an idea, and a lot of people probably go through this, currently I have 8 specialists
Wow.
that work with me.
I don't have no
I mean,
money.
heart, from a heart doctor, yeah, from a heart doctor to a neurologist And I mean, they all are specialists. They all know about fibro, or I won't go to them
Right.
if they don't at least have the
Some
ability to
comprehension.
say,
Hmm.
yeah, you know, maybe you can do, maybe you can walk 10 minutes a day. You know what I mean?
Mm.
If they don't include some sort of bubble that I can talk to them in, I'll find another doctor who I can.
I was sent to
Because
these pain clinics where, they do this injection where it's
that's
almost like
me.
Botox, right? Where they freeze
Yeah.
it. But what I couldn't get them to understand, I said, okay, because I have what I call a Cardassian muscle. If anybody's a Star Trek fan, the Cardassians
Hmm.
always had this muscle on the outside. So I can feel this muscle from the top of my head. I can feel where it goes into my chest, down my back, down my arm, and it feels like it's sticking out. So what they would do is they would put injections in there to freeze that. All very well, but what about the other side? Right? Why are you
What
not
about all
balancing
other
the bike? Yeah,
sides?
they do little parts of you all over, and it's like, but the whole body's in pain. At least do
Mhm.
both sides of the neck, not like one
Yeah.
side where this is loose and then now the other side is tightened. And they eventually gave up on me and said, "We can't help you. There's nothing we can do here to help you." And I said, "No, because you're treating me like patchwork, a little bit
Right.
here and a little bit there, and it's not addressing the main whole problem."
No. In the last 2 years, actually, I could stand outside of a place where they do MRIs. I could stand outside with the sign that says, I'll do it for you. I've had eight MRIs, four brain and cervical, with and without contrast. I have had every bone scans, x-rays, ultrasounds. I've had it all. I don't know what I haven't. And then I've had the shots. Now, the one thing I did find out about the shot, at least for me, it lasted for a little while. It doesn't last forever,
No.
obviously. It lasted for a little while. And then, but when it was working, I found that I used to be a pretty fast walker. Even when I had fibro and I was doing exercise and acupuncture and trying, you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
keeping the
doing
body
very
going.
well, right?
Yeah.
And I was actually doing better, you know. I didn't have all this because nobody was checking me for any of
Right.
that. So, I'd probably be walking someday and fall over because I wouldn't know. But, you know, I found I found out that it took away like half of the speed of my walk.
Mm.
So while it was there, and even now, because they say, well, we'll burn the, nerves. Okay, that's all fine. And it'll come back. I had four of those. So after four of those, my nerves don't, in one area, it hurts really bad when I bend over to do the dishwasher. Um, but it still affects my walking
Hmm.
at some point. And so then you get some kind, I can't even spell the name of some of this stuff, but spondylitis. And then I have the fusion, I have the dysphoria, that's what it's called. A dysphoria in my neck, dysphoria in my spine, where they've just fused together. Don't I have no idea how that works. And I'll get an answer soon on how that works. But it's just everything, blood. You know what I mean? I might as well package up my blood and just send it over every month. You know,
Well, I think probably there's
I
some
mean,
benefits to not having any doctor and kind of
I
like,
know.
it's like I know I've got all these things wrong with me. My body tells me,
Yeah.
right? And only people who suffer from understand. Like the end,
Hmm.
I love what I'm doing. It's really, really good for my psyche, but it's terrible for my body because I'm at the computer 7 hours a day.
Well, you're sitting.
And
Yeah.
sitting and it's not
Hmm.
good for you. And I am about to move where I actually will be able to walk the complex just before I do a show, which will be great. Also, I'm going
That'd
to
be
be
great.
looking after babies and chasing after them. So, but yeah, that'll be
Hopefully
great.
that'll help. Hopefully that'll be a good thing, and it'll be a hard
It
thing,
will be, but it is
you know.
it's one of those things again, as long as I have the day to recover, right? So 1 or 2 days. The big thing I'm not looking forward to is I have to move from where I am here. So I've got furniture here, but I have furniture in storage across the pond, which because I'm on an island, and I've got to move that, and I have to move everything within a full 5 day period. And so I
Right.
am not looking forward to that. That I know is
No,
going to flatten me. It's going to take a lot out of me. So I'm just going to have to gear up with a lot of painkillers so
yeah,
to do
yeah.
that.
And they won't even, I mean, here, if
Mm,
you, I mean, you're lucky to get the extra strength Motrin that they have to prescribe.
yeah, extra strength
And
Tylenol or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia together. One of them is is an inflammatory
Yeah.
disease. One of them's not.
Hmm.
So what happens is you take inflammatory, an anti-inflammatory that works, more.
Yeah.
So I started taking Celebrex after I'd taken, meloxicam, right? Because I guess those are two popular ones. And so the meloxicam helped about 25%. It wasn't real great. So I thought, I'm not taking this because it doesn't do any good and I'm not going to take some I don't have to. And so then on the other side, they gave me the Celebrex. Well, actually, the Celebrex, when I first started taking it, was great. I had never had days where I could actually say, you know what? This is a day where I don't have the kind of pain I have.
Hmm.
So this stuff's staying. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I can get rid of all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden, after I took it, a couple weeks,
Yeah.
my bipolar, it started to mess with my
Right.
mania.
Right. So because and that's
So,
the trouble with drugs, right? They're good for one thing, but then they
yeah,
aggravate the other, and that's the problem. And half the time they
right.
don't
And
know.
I
They don't know what is aggravating what.
no, and you have your basic stuff. So, for instance, I have had a stroke. Now, I couldn't, it was a minor stroke, wasn't a TIA. Yay, right?
Hmm.
Find out that, and you're like, super. I didn't want to have one at all.
Yeah.
And this is when I had all the health stuff, and I was doing everything I could possibly do. And I remember I couldn't figure out when was it then, because I should know,
Yeah.
a little.
A lot of people have strokes
And
and heart attacks without knowing,
no,
right? They think
mm-mm.
it's
So
indigestion or something else. Yeah.
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 And I was starting to take a new muscle relaxer,
Hmm.
and I can't take a lot of those. I mean, lot of them are just no, I can't. I can't function,
Hmm.
literally on those. So basically, what happened was I had fallen. I thought it was blood pressure. I
Mm.
have blood pressure issues, so I thought it was a blood pressure issue because you can get
Yeah.
dizzy or whatever, right? And I fell. And then when I got up, then I thought it was the drug because I couldn't form words for like 5 minutes, It wasn't a long time or anything, but that's the only time I can figure that I had a minor stroke
Right.
is when I couldn't speak. And, well, doctor couldn't understand me and everybody was,
Hmm.
having a fit. But I have fallen more than once. I don't know if you have that
Oh
problem,
God, oh
but
yes. I
oh
cracked my
man.
nose. I
Yeah, I've
smashed
hit
my
my
head.
head.
I had concussion for a year. Yes, I
I
have to be very
know.
careful. I get the vertigo problems every now and again. I just wake up and I've got vertigo. and I've got it for a few days before the equilibrium comes back. And I have to be extremely mindful when I walk, which foot in front of the other. And if I've got that vertigo, I've got to have something to hold on to, otherwise I'm not going to go. And yeah,
No,
I've done it a few
no.
times.
Yeah. Well, and you think about it and you're like, okay, I'm not falling right now. So I'm in the bathroom one day getting a wash rag, and I turned around and down I went. And I mean, I had a bruise on my arm this whole for weeks,
hmm
because the older you get, they don't go away
Oh,
that
I've
fast, and they
actually
never
got
did.
bruising on my legs that I've had for years that doesn't go away. It
No,
stays there. And that's, well, your
no.
circulation of your legs, that's part of the condition. The
Yeah,
circulation isn't there. And if I bruise, that bruise stays.
that's right.
hmm
So people wonder, well, then how do you keep talking, and how do you keep a good attitude, and how do you, because I would have a fit. I mean, I would be constantly in a depression
Right?
or something if I didn't. And the worst thing that you can do is go to bed, you
Yes.
know, I mean,
Yes.
completely give up.
Yeah.
Because if I'm sitting for too long,
Yeah.
then it
Everything
starts
tightens
to
up.
hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I know people that kind of give in, oh, I've been in bed for 3 days, I can't take it. And I'm going to, for me, I've got to be a meaningful purpose, right? Because otherwise it's too easy.
right,
I know of a woman who she's Googling another disease every day. She goes to the hospital every week. She's got specialists galore. And yes, she does have some things wrong with her, but that's all she is her ill health. There is nothing else. You can't have a conversation with her about anything. It's the
right.
latest thing that she's got that she's Googled, right?
And
And
I'm
it's
just
like,
tired of talking.
exactly. And it's like, for me, I've got 4 books on the go. I've got these podcasts going, and I've got days where I come here and I am so tired. How can I get through this podcast? But because I love it so much, my energy finds its way to come forth. And then afterwards, sometimes the it goes off. I'm out on the bed, and I can't
Right.
fight with it. I'm out. That's it.
And
But
I wonder if you have, this is really, it's scary for us because we don't know what it is when it first starts, but it doesn't get any better. And part of the reason that they sent me to a neurologist was because my word, I I'll be talking. I could talk to you and lose whatever I was going to say, and I can't find a word. It's there, but it won't come out. It's
fortunately,
almost,
I haven't got that yet.
yeah, you think you have Alzheimer's disease, so don't,
Yes. Yeah.
immediately think that. But it's it's very frustrating because
I
you'll
can
sit
imagine.
there and
Yeah, because you want the words are in your head and they can't come out. And I
right,
get brain fog, of course. That's part of
that,
it
oh,
as
that,
well.
and then
Yeah,
that
that's
is a
part of
huge.
it. And
Mhm.
like I just took on producing this book, which I'm shamelessly promoting in every show, which is our Forgotten Children book. 15 chapters, 15 of us in the book talking about what we need to do to support families and to support children. We've got to change the system.
Yeah, we
And
do.
apart from the publisher who at the end put the book together for me, I was doing everything, the podcast, the chasing the people,
Yep.
the everything. And
Hmm.
it got overwhelming, right? And it's like, I'm going to go do more. I'm going to do 3 a year, but this time I'm going to know I have to make sure that I pace out more. I wrote my own
Yeah,
book, which is, Sarah's Self-Discovery to Soul Living, but I wanted when I wrote my book to look at it in a way, because it is a memoir. It's my view of life. These are the struggles that
exactly.
I've had. I've had illness since the age of 2. I was a chronic bronchial asthmatic.
All year, all through my life.
Right,
Right.
exactly. And eczema and all of that and everything that comes with it. So I'm used to illness. And it's always
Hmm.
like looking at illness and going, okay, I know you're there. You're a pain in the
One
butt.
more thing.
But I'm just, I'm going to go and do life the best I can do life, right? Because I'm not going to give in to that. I know I have
Hmm.
limitations. I know the things I cannot and can do. And sometimes if I'm in a coughing spasm, I'll have to say to people, you see me doing this, I'm going to mute. I'm coughing. You carry on talking. And it
Mm-hmm.
just be, and this is, I think, came that shame thing is like, well, if you've got this condition, then you can't do that, and you can't do this. And the
And
thing
you did
is,
something to cause it.
oh, well, we did something to cause it. Yes, of
Mm-hmm.
course. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what you've got. It's if you're doing something that you love, that's meaningful and purposeful, that is contributing to society. That is what drives you to get up every day through the pain. I am never below a 5. Never.
No, 5 is my day. Yep,
A good
5
day.
is my day.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And three, I want to
I,
have a
I
party.
I
And
haven't
it
I haven't had a 3
very
in a long
rarely,
time. I'm
yeah,
5 every day.
very rarely.
Uh-huh. I haven't had
So,
that in a long time. 5 is my
yeah.
stable. And then, I get to those 7, 8s, and then that 9, 10, poof, wackaroo,
Yeah.
right? And
And
the
they
thing,
always say you should be in the hospital. If you have a 7, 8, you should be in the hospital. No,
no,
everybody's
they don't know
different.
what to
I
do
can
with us.
handle,
They
no,
don't know what to do with us. Why go?
no,
Right?
I
Unless you
can't
can pinpoint.
handle,
Right.
I can handle a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a huge pain.
Yeah.
And I've broken bones. I've had
Uh-huh.
scarlet fever, the mumps, the
Uh-huh.
measles. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I've gone through all that as a
Yeah, me
child.
too. Yeah.
I remember, when they take your school picture,
Mm-hmm.
and they take the class, right? I'm never in them. I am in one out of the whole elementary time that I was there, 6 years. I'm in
I'll
one.
be in the, but my fingers will be all bandaged because of the eczema.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember going back to school after an illness and they thought I was a new child because I'd been gone so long. So out of
Hmm.
the 12 years schooling, I was lucky if I did 6 or 7.
Yeah. No. And I thought, how do I have a brain?
Exactly.
And so I had to become independent
Yep.
early,
Yep.
just the way the family dynamic was. Then that'll be in my next book. Uh, but because of the way I was raised, you know, I developed ways to
To
cope.
cope. Exactly.
And one of them was something that I end up using in my regular life when I don't even know, and that's empathy.
Hmm.
And as an empath or
Yes.
empathetic
Yep.
person, you have the ability to be sitting on the couch and know somebody's thinking about you. And so you'll call them or
Hmm.
they'll call you.
Yeah.
And for usually I call them and my daughter's like, I was just going to pick up the phone to call you. I said, how many years has that been happening?
Yeah. Well, it's also,
And
feeling other people's pain. And it's like, I've already got enough of
oh,
my own, thank you. I don't want to feel yours as well, but you do, right? In
yeah, no,
feeling
you
other
do.
people, feeling even global anxiety. That's something I have to be careful when there's a heightened
Yeah.
sense, another war, another killing, another this and that, and everybody kind of rises up to that. And it's like I have to be careful there because I have to shut down from that news and I have to go and put myself in a lane that I know is going to feed me and support me because otherwise all my senses are just screaming. They're 20, never
Right.
mind a 10.
Exactly. And right now in America, it's, extremely,
I
you
know.
hear
I know, believe
it's,
me, I interview Americans all the time, and it doesn't matter what we're talking about, we're addressing it, and
yeah,
it's we're in transition right now as a human race, and
I think so. Yeah.
there are so many people that have risen up to a higher consciousness. They've stepped into that higher frequency. There are
Especially
those
the kids,
or
you
especially
know,
the kids, yes.
yeah.
And many people that have, decided to choose to awaken and not fight it. The people that are fighting it, they're trying to take the clock back, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, banning books, creating wars, um, just shoot stirrers all the time. These are people that have still live very much in fear and anxiety and hatred and vengeance. And it doesn't matter who we are or what we're served in life. It's up to us how we choose to deal with it. Do we
Yeah.
cripple it? Do we seek vengeance? Do we want to punish somebody else for it? Ultimately, our healing is up to us. Our
Hmm.
forgiveness isn't for them, it's for us. You forgive
Exactly.
because that releases you from the pain. It doesn't mean you forget, right? And
Right.
that's the point
Right.
is that if we're willing to go through that process and heal, we've risen up to a higher level. The people that are screaming the most right now, that are the most vengeful, are people that are in some form of pain that are refusing to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody
Yeah.
else's fault. It's everybody else has done this to me. But you have to heal yourself. People are here to help you, to nurture you, to give you the tools and the skills. I've got 3,600 of you right here on this network, right? But
Right.
you've got to listen, learn, and apply. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point of everything. We've got to learn and apply. Learn from this. You've heard two people talk about the pain that we live in, but our attitude around that pain, our attitude
Right.
around our health, our attitude on the healing, and we're never going to be completely healed. No, that's it. It's here for
No,
life.
it's
It's
yeah,
here for life.
it's a little bit done.
It's the
You know,
attitude of how we're going to manage it. And it's
right.
okay for us to say, I'm having a bad day, or I can't do that, or I'm sorry, that hurts too much, right? And
And
it's
that
okay
was
for us to
not,
say that. Yeah.
yeah, when in my family, that was not acceptable,
Mm,
you know. And so you went through whatever you did, and then you got old enough,
yeah.
maybe, and then maybe it was, I mean, mine was like after having children,
Hmm.
even after having, you know, all the other divorces and you
Yes,
know what I
yes,
mean?
yes.
And so, but when I write my books, I do them all myself,
Hmm.
these last two. Now the next one, I will have a content editor with me
Hmm.
because it's much too confusing, and it's on my life as far as going from being the child of trauma and abuse to how I began using drugs
Hmm.
and then recovery.
Right.
You know, I've been recovered for 30 years,
Hmm.
but every day I get up and I always think, I got to remember,
Yeah.
you know, and you can't forget, and you do. And with pain, I asked a doctor once, is my body ever going to get like used to this pain?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Where someday I'm going to wake up, I'm in pain, I'm like, okay, I can ignore it. They said, no, your
Well,
body will never get
I think
used
what
to
we do,
pain.
we do get used to it to a point where it's okay.
We get used to
Yeah,
it.
we get
I mean,
used
our
to like, and
brain, yeah.
it's there, are you 4 or 5 today, or what are you? We get used to it, and then immediately the mind goes into, okay, what can I or can I not do today?
Hmm.
Or what do I need to do for myself? And that you go into automatic because the pain level's here. What do I need to do? Right?
Right.
And then it's you automatically do it. It's like with anything in life, you get on with it, right? Because quite
Right.
honestly, in all honesty, nobody else is interested in your health. Right. This is the one thing I
No.
have found through my life. My ex-husband hated me being sick, but he's the one actually that caused the fibromyalgia through the emotional
Trauma.
abuse, right? So that's what triggered
Hmm.
it. Um, and nobody's really interested. So what I have found is the days that I collapse, they see it, but I just suck it up and do it. And if I say I can't, I can't. Don't push, don't argue. I don't care. That keep that to yourself. And I do
Hmm.
what I can do. And it's because I really do find that most people really don't care. They're dealing with their own stuff. And so we
Right.
have to just deal with our own stuff. And we need to, people like yourself who are sharing in a book what you do to manage this, to manage that, uh, as tips for people who are going through it. Now, if you have a spouse or you have family members or friends that that you feel that you can really say, I'm hurting today, and they're
Hmm.
there for you, they go, don't worry, I'm going to take over, I'm going to do this, you go and do what you need to do. But very few people have that. I'm one of those because
Right.
I look like I'm completely able and nobody knows
Oh yeah.
what you're going through.
Yep. No, absolutely. Um, and so why I did breaking the silence was for these very reasons. You
Exactly.
know, we keep we keep a lot hidden because
Yeah.
people don't understand it or don't want to hear it, or
Assume.
we think we've never tried
Right.
to
Oh, yeah.
explain it.
Aha.
So
Yeah.
they can't figure it out on their
Right.
own. And I think I've noticed that it is really hard for people sometimes to get with a family member or even more than one, and try and explain to them how you know, this is how it works. I know you're not going to understand it because you don't have it, you know, but if I say I can't do something,
Hmm.
it's not because I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's not because I want to see you guys waving in the back seat goodbye because I can't do something, right?
Mm.
Um, it's just all a matter of, trying to give as much information as we can.
Yes.
And
And
sometimes,
just have, you may not understand it because you can't relate to it, but how about you have a little compassion of what we're going through and be
yeah,
supportive? I am so tired of people, you've just got to do this, you've just got to do that. Right? You think
mm-hmm,
that we haven't tried all of these things? You think that we know that we haven't done this and done that? Right?
right,
We obviously have tried them. And, just to say, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that, and then it will all go away. And how many times I've
yep.
had people say to me, oh, I can cure your fibromyalgia, right? And it's like they don't get what it
Oh no,
is.
I get that on my page.
Yes.
Well, if you have this, you should take this. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh, please do not. You know what I mean? You have no idea, you know, because I don't put all that on my
Right.
page. I mean, I try and be positive on my page. I don't
Exactly.
put negativity on my page. You know what I mean? And I have to get rid of it when it shows up. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because I don't want everybody else to, think that that's what I'm trying to draw to my
But at the
page.
same
It's
time,
not.
I've done on Facebook times I'm having a really bad day or something's happened
Yeah,
that's
they
really
can
pulled me
talk
down.
about that. I
No, but I've put
understand.
out there, I just need some loving hugs. I need some of
Yeah,
the people's energy. And if we can't do that
sure.
and ask for, some loving energy, then, what is wrong with society? We're here to support one another. But we do
Right.
need to understand, what is one of the biggest things that we live with? A lack of energy. So if
Mm-hmm.
our batteries cannot charge fully, if our batteries deplete very quickly, how do you think we can do X, Y, and Z all through the day? Right?
Right.
We can't because we'll
No.
crash.
No, crash and burn.
Yep.
Um, I know for a fact that later today I don't have a lot to do. I have, computer stuff, right? And the show. I try not to plan a lot. And I guarantee that I will be sitting on the couch tonight or whatever, and I will fall asleep for an hour or two
Yeah.
because I didn't get 8 or 9 hours of sleep
Oh
last
God.
night.
I mean, I sleep so badly. I
Oh,
sleep so
I
badly. And
fall all the time.
you wake up in pain. You wake up, all of a
We
sudden
don't sleep
no, I
well.
mean, I'm like, I have a Fitbit and I look at it and go, how many hours of deep sleep? And if I
Yeah.
get three, hallelujah, but they're not at once. It's spasmodic through there. But you
Hmm.
wake up and you're hurting, so you've got to turn over and find a comfortable place
And
to,
that hurts.
and that hurts. And then it's like, just people don't get that. And of course, if you're not sleeping, you're not recharging. So it's
Hmm.
it's 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 always that negative thing. And it's like it I'm as I said, I'm not looking forward to this move because it's yeah, I am.
When we moved, it was a nightmare.
Well, my thing is
It
I
broke
am I am a
everything on
senior in
top.
disability and I can't really afford the good movers, so I'm going to have to do as much as I can myself. And I
Right.
know that I'm going to pay for this because it's just rational, logical that I am. So I'm going to have to pace myself and do the best I can. But it's the I've given up trying to explain to people that just because I look
Hmm.
all right doesn't mean I am all right. And
Right.
that it's I do my best based on what I measure to be my best. I will try my hardest based on what I know I can give you without it costing me. And if
Right.
people can't accept that, then you have to let them go, because otherwise they're draining you and they're pulling you down by making you
Right.
feel shame and blame. Oh, it's all in your head. How many times have you heard that? Or if you just
Mm-hmm.
exercise on the treadmill, if you did this, if you did that, you would be fine.
I get that
Oh,
exercise thing a
yes,
lot.
yes. And they
Yeah.
don't understand. Like my
No.
legs are lead. It's hard
Yeah,
for them to
they
walk
are.
around, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
climbing up hills or doing any of that, I will end up with the restless leg. Waking up in the night
Oh,
and your
I don't
legs are
have that. I
shaking.
never
Oh God.
had that.
You wake up
Yeah.
and your legs are going da 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 da. Like they want to go off
Oh
and do something on their own.
God.
Um,
Oh my
so,
God. I don't know if I could do that one. Yeah, it's
no,
tough.
it's an annoying one, and there's not much that really helps it. But at the end of the day, I am sitting on the couch with a heating pad behind me to help relax
Yeah.
things. And people say, "No, you need ice." I said, "No, no, everything
No,
tightens
see,
up. We need
yeah.
heat in order to start loosening things
Ice
up."
is painful actually.
Yes, it's
Um,
heat. It's heat.
I have to like wrap it,
Yeah,
so that I'm not getting,
yeah.
you know,
And
as
it's
much
not
as the
like you've had
benefit.
a workout and your muscles need the ice to deflate. No, it's not that type of condition.
No.
And it's
Mm-mm.
again so hard for people. So anybody listening to this today that somebody with fibromyalgia on any level. And I've got the 29, and as I said, they've discovered more points now. This was some years ago that I was diagnosed with that. Um, so, it is, please understand your support, your consideration, your compassion. We're not looking for you to say, poor you. We don't want that. We just want you
No,
to understand that we're doing the best that we can, right? And that if we say,
mhm.
sorry, I can't do that, go, okay, is there anything I can do for you or help you? Because if we're
Right.
saying we can't do it, we know we can't. We know we can't.
No. And what's really nice, I mean, I started thinking about the other day and I thought about people who do, who are there, who do understand, who don't tell you, what to do. I have actually one, out of
Yeah,
everyone,
yeah.
which will make my kids mad if they watch this. But I've only known my sister probably 15 years. We didn't grow up together or anything. And I thanked her
Mm,
the other day, and there's nothing wrong.
yeah,
In fact, we should be thanking the people who do try
right.
to understand us, right?
Yes, yes.
But I swear she's always been there.
Mm,
She's never told me I mean, so I said, I want to thank you for just being there, you know,
understanding, being there, caring. And it's
just
not that other
care,
people
just
don't care.
caring.
It's like, I said to my son once, he would go on and on about just do this, mum, and just do that. And I just grabbed his hands and looked at him one day and I said, stop. Every time you tell me I've got to do this and that, you're making me feel broken.
Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
know how much just a hug would help,
Right.
right?
And
Because,
that's where that whole shame comes back in
yeah.
again. I
Mm,
must be doing something wrong. I must have done something to cause, and your brain can go,
yeah. Yeah. Why
pretty
am I
fast.
apologizing for a disease I've been given? Do you think I want this?
Yeah.
Right? Do you think I've wanted asthma my entire life and it's restricted to things that I wanted to do and I couldn't do because I never knew when I could have an asthma attack? You think I wanted
Hmm.
any of that? No, I was given it. And
So I had
it's
to learn
my
to live with
burden
it.
to bear, but how about a little understanding of that, what we're bearing?
Right.
If somebody was going through chemo with cancer or, had the
They would,
definite offer,
yeah.
they would be more compassionate. But
Hmm.
this is a hidden disease in the sense that they can't see it, not in the same way. They see
Yeah.
you struggling. Sometimes I'm walking like an old woman, and I can never walk
Right.
fast.
Have
And
been over. Yeah.
yeah, and if
The
I'm
whole
going
thing.
uphill, you've got to pull me, right? If I'm on
Hmm.
the ground, you've got to help me up. And,
I know.
yeah, I feel like an old woman then. I'm turning 70 this year, but I don't want to be, I'm not
Well,
70 in my
you look,
spirit.
see, and that's the thing. You don't look anywhere near 70. And people say, well, you look great.
Yeah.
That is a huge thing
Yes,
as
and
well.
I'm
You look
I'm
great.
glad that I look great and I you don't see the pain. I'm glad. I don't want
Hmm.
my pain to perceive me. I want you to
Right,
see my energy and my light and my contribution and everything that I do. But do
right,
understand that you can't ask more of me than I'm able to give.
right, right. Yeah, it is a really a conundrum,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is.
Um, and I don't know. They told me it would probably never have a cure in my lifetime,
That's what they've told me too, that there is no,
but I hope,
because there's too many things under the umbrella, right?
right.
Uh-huh.
So I hope that my grandkids, they seem to be healthy
Yeah,
and they've been good, you know, all of them. I hope that they do not have later anything. And if
yeah,
they do have anything I've had, as far as the fibro, the
hmm,
anything, I just hope that they are able to get more help than I would,
yeah.
because it that would make me happy, you know.
And
And
we don't, I mean, I'm sure my mother had fibro and was not diagnosed. I've got cancer and heart disease in my family running rampant.
oh yeah,
My poor son has eczema, really bad on his hands, and he's in the
and
wrong.
that could be really
Oh,
painful
it's
as
very
well,
painful for him. His skin is raw, and he works in the restaurant industry, so it's really bad
like
for
my
him.
son.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so that's the problem is and my grandchildren, touch wood, pray not, but could end up with asthma just because of all these viruses that they've had, and we're praying not. That's something they do outgrow. So and heart disease and cancer, I don't want anyone to go through that. Thank you very much. And I'd say thank you to the universe. Cancer and heart disease run rampant in my family.
They're a lot better treated now, at least.
Exactly. But you're not, I call myself a good Model T Ford, right? Where
Yeah,
the structure of the vehicle is very good, but all the wiring is screwed up.
right. Yeah, you kind of go, now I have all this other stuff, maybe I won't get cancer. You
I
know what I
refuse it.
mean? Or
I refuse it. I
yeah,
refuse heart
maybe I
disease
won't
and
get
cancer. Nope.
Alzheimer's.
Nope. I refuse it. I have enough on my plate. Thank you much, very much. I refuse to have that. And you just
Yeah.
do what you can for your body. You do what you can for your health, the best you
Mhm.
can, and you manage through it. But being proactive in the sense of doing something that really lifts your heart and spirit up, something where you really do feel I am contributing, even if it's an hour a day, I don't care what it is, but doing something that takes you out of yourself. Because we are women with fibromyalgia and all that is under the umbrella, but we are not our diseases. We
No,
are
we aren't.
first Deb and Sarah. We are
Absolutely.
people who have things that we can do and we contribute. We just carry this burden with us.
Right. And we did not do anything to cause it.
No,
And it is not our fault that
no,
we have it.
no.
And I think there's no fault, there's no blame
Right.
with this disease. It's just very hard to get away from feeling that way
Yeah.
when almost the whole society,
Yeah.
you know, they, when I got two 5-star editorial reviews, which I was thrilled, right? You
Hmm.
get any and you're thrilled. But the last one said that all doctors' offices should have my book in
Mm.
there. But, and you think about it, there's never anything in a
No.
doctor's office, right? Um, and I don't know why. I mean, it doesn't make
And I
any
mean, my
sense.
doctor was a specialist that had other doctors going to him to train to understand what fibromyalgia
Right,
is. And I
right.
have it in my book. I have a chapter on my health, and I went into detail on what fibromyalgia is, what my fascial pain is, and I didn't even go into
Yeah.
all the other stuffs that there's there, but just to kind of help people actually understand, that
Mm,
there are so many people with it today, and it's kind of the new age disease, and a lot of that we need to look at is our societal conditioning. We could look at the most people who have it have some sort of post-traumatic stress, some trauma
yeah.
in their body that's come about from it. And we look at cancer, 80% is an emotional disease where fibromyalgia is
Yeah.
brought around from that. But yes, you can cure the emotion around it, heal your post-traumatic stress, but that once it sets into the body, it's set in. And like I've had it
Right.
since 97 that I was diagnosed, and I know I had it before then. There just nobody knew
Right.
what it was back then. So
No,
and the thing is, I'm not going to apologize for it. I didn't ask for it. It was given to me. I live the very best I can with it.
I'm just
Right?
doing what I can to live with it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. That's all we can do.
Right.
Supporters or ignorers, I don't care. But,
Right.
just stop telling us we're doing it wrong and stop blaming us for it and stop saying, oh, I can cure it, just like that with this. And no, there are things
Yeah.
that
The
make it easier
stigma,
to deal with. Yes. Oh,
the
yeah.
stigma,
Yeah.
if we could get the stigma to move
Yes.
and not be such a big deal.
Right.
And the other one, because I've gone through it with mental health,
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
mental health,
Depression and
it
anxiety and yeah,
started,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it started to kind of move away, right? Where you could talk about it.
Right.
And now, nope, now it's back because they haven't treated it. When the
Right.
stigma started going away, I
Hmm.
guess they figured that the disease was going with it. And so they are, we don't treat our people
No, I do
for
many,
mental
many shows.
health
I
here.
have a genre called mental health awareness, and we do a lot of shows on mental health. And we've got to understand that very often the mental health is actually old programming. Things we've grown up with, that our ancestors have grown up with, past life DNA patterns that we're doing, and we're
Oh yeah,
unaware that we're
definitely.
still in that pattern. And if we understand we're still in that pattern, that programming, and we release that and put in healthier programming, it actually can help people with mental illness. But a great deal of it comes about of living in an existence that's not even their choice. It's
No,
living in a pattern they don't even know they have.
no, and it can come from way back. I mean,
Oh,
it can
yeah. Oh, yeah.
actually move.
Ancestral. Yes.
Yeah.
It can come through, like your
Where did you
parents'
come
stress, your
from?
grandparents' stress. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my family came from Norway. So in Norway, you don't have any light. And,
Mhm.
very well, like in through the winter, I mean, I think you
Yes.
get, 2 hours. I don't know. But whatever it is, that causes that person to feel depressed. And so they have to keep going back then because,
Mhm.
there was no such thing. And
And
if you
things
did
like
say
having
something,
vitamin D when it was dark and needing vitamin C. And,
exactly.
they didn't
Yep.
know about the vitamins that you needed to
No,
supplement the things that you were lacking. So we
no.
know so much more today. So therefore, we need to have our minds open. There are an
Mhm.
awful lot of nutritionals that can help us with our condition. It's not going to cure it, but it helps manage it to a point. But as I
Sure.
said, if you can afford things like really good acupuncture and myofascial pain massage, it will help your body considerably. That tightening up like a tin can, it will help loosen up your body, loosen up the muscles, have the flow in your body. When I was getting that, I could do so much more. But if you
Oh,
can
yeah.
afford to do it, great. When they stop doing it medically, I'm a pensioner. How can I afford a $150 session
Right.
every
And
week or
they're
2 weeks?
really expensive
They're
here,
very
and I'm sure they
expensive.
are
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
definitely. And
And
so, yeah,
yeah, it's very, and like I said, this is a series of 2 books. I don't think I'll write another book on it.
yeah,
But it'll be mentioned, I'm sure, at
yes,
some point, maybe at the end of Trapped or,
yeah.
you know,
It'll turn up
but
in there, obviously, because it's obviously relatable to what you're going to be writing about, but it's
yeah,
not about that. Like the graceful agony is, living with
that's
fibromyalgia and chronic
definitely, yeah,
and breaking the
right.
silence, is confronting the guilt and shame around chronic pain. So talking about that. And so your next book would just be, the story of where, how it all came about.
How
And
it all, yeah,
yeah, I
pick a
kind of
thing.
I put it all in one book. As I said, I wrote it from a view of, a view of my life. And I didn't really want to go too deep into some of the things. I kind of, this is what happened.
Yeah, you
It,
kind
it,
of can't in some
yeah,
ways. Yeah,
it's more
I
about
mean,
who I've become today because of what's happened to me. Right. So
right,
it's more the triumph of who I am today with not letting these things happen to me. And
right,
the Our Forgotten Children is, as I said, it's 15 chapters on where we need to support our families. There are women and fathers living with fibromyalgia, trying to raise children, find it
Oh yeah.
hard to work. They've got the kids, and we've got people who don't understand it. And we need to support our families and help them, not take children away or not. We just, the whole system around raising children is so wrong. And that's the reason why this book
It is.
is there, right? It's the first of the series, and we
It's
need to
important.
address it.
Yes.
It is. And a great deal of it is the medical system that, again, just wants to push drugs or operations or programs that are not looking at person as a holistic being, but, compartmentalized, and and just wanting to fix something with a quick pill or a quick this or a quick that, and not realizing it's about maintenance. We maintain our computers, we maintain our
Hmm.
cars, we maintain our house, we maintain all the other things, but when it comes to maintenance of body, that seems to be something that is not talked about, right?
No, no. And doctors will tell people what to do, to help themselves.
Mm,
And they don't, if they don't do it, then they go back to the doctor and say, well, what you're telling me to do isn't working.
yeah.
No, you have to do the work to find out if it's working, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
and then you can tell the doctor what part of it might or might not be working.
Exactly. So
So it does get
so where do
frustrating.
people get the books? And also, where do they find you? What's your site that they can reach you?
My site is, well, my website is author Deb Morgan now, and that
Is
dot
that
com.
.com?
Hmm.
So Deb Morgan
And
is DebMorgan. So author debmorgan.com, right?
yeah. Hmm. And that's also one of my Facebook pages now is author Deb Morgan. So it's real easy to,
Hmm.
And then the other one has been Deb Spot for years. And
Deb-spot, yeah, .com.
yeah, and I think that's the one that seems to be, you know, much more popular, only because there's different things on it. You know what I mean? And so people are now finding the other one, and coming to that one and then finding that one.
Right.
But so I'm definitely not hard to find me.
Right.
If you put me into Google, it just pops up everywhere.
Right. Right.
But,
And as I said, this is the fourth show that we've done together, across the
yeah,
fibromyalgia and living with it. And it's unfortunately, we're still talking about it because there's still no solutions, and we're still trying to get people to understand. But that's
yeah,
what you're doing with both of your books. You're talking about how you're in the agony, and then the other of like, stop blaming and shaming us, be there to support.
right.
Instead, understand that it doesn't matter what we look like, just ask how we're doing today. Can we manage this? Can we not? Just a little more of that would go down much, much better. So, uh,
Definitely.
because we can't tell you everything that hurts, because everything hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that's the answer you're going to get.
Yeah. And people
Everything.
just don't get it. Yeah. Well, thanks a
No.
lot, Deb, for coming back and sharing. And of course, with your next book,
Sure.
come back and share that as well. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, we have talked about a lot of the challenges today, and it's not because we feel sorry for ourselves. We want you to understand people who live
Exactly.
in chronic pain are doing their best, and stop pushing them against what they are already dealing with. Instead, step up, try and understand, support, ask them what they need. They'll probably say
Yeah,
nothing because they're used to saying nothing because nobody ever asks them. But just
that's
say, look,
true.
I have no idea what you're going through. Yeah, either you can try and explain it to me, or tell me what you need that's going to help relieve some of the burden,
Right.
right?
Or even be honest and say,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe some people don't
Yep.
want to hear.
Exactly.
I mean, it's either scary or
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
but they just don't want to hear about it.
Right.
Well,
Well,
that's
then
fine.
that's fine, as
Tell
long as
me.
you accept that when you say
Yeah.
no, or I've got limitations, or I'm struggling, you accept that. No argument,
Right.
no bitching back, no comments, just, support in the sense of, okay, I hear you, right?
Right.
Hear us, please.
Well, I will definitely get in touch. We always keep in touch on
Yes.
Facebook as
Yeah,
well.
we do.
So,
Yeah.
congratulations on your new book.
Oh, I've got four of them. I'm in two
Oh,
other books
oh
as
my
well.
God, for
I've got my own memoir, I've got The Forgotten Children, and I've got two other books that I'm in as well. So it's kind of a busy time for me. But and then the next book is about to get started as well. So yes, again,
yeah,
taking
there's a
on
lot
so
of stuff.
much.
Yeah. I don't think I could do more than one at this point, you
You're
know.
right, yeah, I don't know. It is a
So
lot, but I'm going to take some time out when I move because I know that it's going to be very challenging and not going to put any other burden on me at that time.
no, no, it's better. Yeah. Well, we all, and if we know this disease, we know that,
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
limitations. We know our limitations, and there's no
for
point
sure.
pushing them. I know I'm going to be pushing them with the move. I can't help that. But at the
You're
same
right.
time, don't
At the
burden
end,
me
I'm
with
going
anything
to be
else.
on the floor.
Yeah, oh God, then I'm not going to be able to get up.
Right. You're gonna have to help me up after we get it.
Oh dear, yes, we can
So
laugh about it. We can, right?
we can. Yeah,
Yep,
we
that's the
have
only thing we
to.
can do, laugh about it. Yep. And there are many people that are living with other things that are a death sentence, and this is just a pain in the butt because it's a life
Yeah.
sentence. Um, and we will have it for life. But we recognize there are other people that are struggling, with whether they're going to be living the next day or not. And when none of us are promised the next day. It's what we do with
No,
today that counts, right? And that's really the
no.
importance.
True. True.
Okay, my
Well,
dear,
then I thank you very much for giving me your time
my pleasure.
and the platform.
And, thank you for being honest and open because, it just is for people to truly understand, what, what, and have a little more compassion, whether it's fibromyalgia, chronic pain, or what anybody's going through. Have it, you may
Right.
not understand it completely, but at least have some compassion because, that goes a long way because we just want
Oh,
to
it
stop
does.
feeling that we have to apologize for it all the time,
No,
right?
and it's just not hard to say.
You're right,
Three
exactly.
words,
Yes.
or two,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Exactly.
So
Well, thank you very much, Deb. Until next time, if you know somebody going through anything, just say, can I help you? I don't understand what you're going through. Can I help you? Is there anything I can do for you? I'll try and understand it, but I'm here for you. And that is something we would like to hear. I'm here for you. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.